Conceptual constipation is a noun or a feeling, meaning when you try to think but nothing happens. It's the inability to digest facts and reach logical conclusions. An example sentence is Frankie seems to be suffering from conceptual constipation, possibly due to consuming too much news via social media. He keeps asking his doctor to prescribe hydrochloroquine to prevent him from getting COVID-19. This word should exist because some people have a hard time with critical thinking and differentiating fact from fiction. Often, they mix mysticism, wishful thinking, or emotion into their thought process. The result is their mind gets clogged up with nonsense. Electronic public flogging, or EPF, is a noun and verb. It's singular. It means to publicly humiliate someone via electronic media through widespread dissemination of content intended to ridicule and shame them. It's the modern equivalent of public flogging and shaming in the town square, where a mob would join in casting insults or throwing food at a person being held in a pillory or tied to a whipping post. An example usage of this is shortly after being caught on video for threatening to call the health department on a kid's lemonade stand that was operating without a permit, Karen was subjected to an electronic public flogging. The video was shared 5 million times on Facebook and Twitter. Another example of this is Person 1 says, "Did you see the pro baseball player who was parked in the handicap space at Olive Garden so he didn't have to walk in the rain?" Person 2, "Yep, I saw that on Twitter a few minutes ago. He's getting EPF'd." This word has to exist because in the past, multiple societies utilized public humiliation as a form of punishment. People were held in a pillory or stockade in a town square or tied to a whipping post. Sometimes they were publicly flogged, or a crowd joined in casting insults or throwing food scraps or garbage at the person. This still happens in a few places in the world. However, most of the public shaming taking place these days occurs via electronic media, especially social media. It's not as physically painful, but the shaming can be amplified many times over as millions can join in on an EPF. A fearhead is a singular noun meaning a person whose thoughts and actions are guided primarily by their fears. For example, Bob has the talent and skills needed to be a great baseball player, but he has become a fearhead after not getting any hits for 5 games in a row. All of us have fears that confront us. A fearhead usually surrenders and is therefore ruled by their fears. Hesitate is a verb meaning to state in a wavering or awkward manner, as if the speaker is not sure that what one is saying is correct, or to pause before speaking or while speaking, as if realizing that it would be better not to say what is on one's mind, but then to say it anyway. For example, there are several scientists who do not agree that people's actions are even a factor in global warming, as it has been documented that the world has warmed and cooled over the years, but before people were all over the place. Bob hesitated while arguing about climate change. Another example is the wife says, "Does this dress make me look fat?" Joan asked her husband just as they were about to go to dinner and celebrate their 10th wedding anniversary. Husband says, "Well, yes, a little bit," her husband hesitated. This should be a word because sometimes, to prove we are right or to fill an awkward gap in conversation, we begin to speak before we've thought out what we're going to say. Then as we speak, we pause or stumble over our words, leading others, and maybe ourselves, to realize it would have been better to not have started what we're saying. Usually, we just keep going and finish that it anyway. Procrastination is the state of chaotic spontaneity which occurs after procrastination. For example, I almost had to turn in my essay late, but I managed to get it on time after I was hit by a wave of procrastination. This should be a word because sometimes people who tend to procrastinate their work find that they are most productive in the last minute. For example, somebody who has been procrastinating on an essay may find a burst of information on the night before it is due and write an even better essay than they would have if they didn't procrastinate. This feeling is called procrastination. Surrounding is a noun that is often used in the plural. It means a member of a group of people who hang out or work together, but they don't really respect, trust, or sincerely like each other. Or it means a member of an entourage that hangs around a person that's popular, was popular, or could be popular, more for the perks that come with hanging out than true affection for the person. Some example sentences are: Person 1 says, "How is Frankie doing at his new school?" Person 2 says, "I think he's picking up some bad habits from his new surroundings. He started cursing and spitting." Another example sentence is, "Bob hoped that being one of Vanilla Ice's surroundings would help him meet women." An explanation for this word is some groups of people hang out not because they genuinely like or respect each other, but because it makes them feel cool. In some ways, they are more like comfort food or home decorations than friends. Zomboy is a noun meaning a potentially normal kid who enters a zombie-like state for hours every day while playing video games or staring at a smartphone screen. An example sentence is a dad says, "Hey Zomboy, it's 5 p.m. and you've been on your phone since you wake up at noon. How about going outside to play on this beautiful day?" Zomboy, after a long period of silence while still staring at screen, uh, followed by more silence. In researching this word for any prior usage, we discovered that Zomboy is already in use as the performance name of an EDM producer. The word also appears in the Urban Dictionary as a verb for blatantly copying someone else's music, as Zomboy is accused of doing by some. We came up with this word independently with this definition in mind.